Hello, welcome to Lil's Vintage World, welcome to Tutor and welcome to a reading vlog. This is going to be a really hopefully nice chilled out reading vlog as I reread a favourite book of mine. Now I read this book for the first time in 2023 and I actually was filming me reading it at the time. And then something happened and I ended up missing a couple of videos at the end of Tutor of that year, and one of them was this reading vlog. And the only time that you kind of got to know about this book was right at the end of the year when I did my favourite books of the year, and it was mentioned in there because it is one of my favourite historical fiction novels of all time. It's my favourite book that I've ever read on Robert Dudley. And I just think it's amazing and I need more people to read it. And I was today's plan of action was to actually sit down and do some sit-down type videos for Tutor. However, I'm sure you know if you watch my announcement video, I'm currently pregnant, I'm over halfway through, and I am just through this pregnancy just listening to my body, and my body, let me tell you, today doesn't have the energy to do the sit-down videos that I wanted to do. And so I'm just having a day of resting and doing little jobs here and there. You might be able to hear the washing machine because I've actually put a wash on, so I have done something. But I'm just listening to my body and doing little things and then chilling, relaxing, little things, chilling, relaxing like that, rather than a lot of things that require a lot of energy. I just don't want to do too much. So something that I'm going to do is to chill. I've got some music on my TV, which is relaxing music, harp, flute, piano and string instruments. Very nice, kind of classical. It has this kind of real Tudor court vibes to it. Anyway, so the book in question is this one. This is The Queen's Favourite by Dowers. An ambitious courtier tainted by treason, a troubled queen determined to rule alone. This book is amazing. First of all, let's talk about how beautiful it is. It kind of reminds me of like a Tudor embroidery or tapestry. It's so lovely. Something that you might find even on a gown. It's just stunning. So this book originally came out in 14. It's the first book in the Tudor Court series by this author, and I had it on my wish list for quite a few years. I don't think from 2014, but maybe from 2017, 18, something like that. It sat on my wish list for a good number of years. And then in 2023, something in me made me pick this up. And I'm so glad that I did in 2023, because that's when we got this beautiful cover edition. Isn't it stunning? Absolutely beautiful. So this book is historical fiction all about Robert Dudley. I love Robert Dudley. Robert Dudley, the Queen's favourite, makes sense. So this book in 2023 was everything that I hoped it for. I was hoping for two things. I was hoping for a really good timeline that started with Elizabeth and Robert together as children, which it does, all the way through to his death, which it does, because he dies like 15 years before she does. So yeah. Spoilers, but not really, because it's history. You've had hundreds of years to know this. But then also I really was hoping for a book that I really felt encaptured Robert Dudley as the person that I see him as, not as just this scheming, manipulative, fake friend. I don't think you can fake being friends with someone for like decades and decades and decades, and sometimes he's written so badly and I'm just like, I just don't see him, but I see him in this, and I really like that. This book made me cry the first time round I read it. It'll be interesting to see if it makes me cry again. It probably will, because I'm pregnant. I'm very hormonal. I mean, I cry at adverts, I cry at everything. So I'm crying all the time, so it probably will make me cry. So yeah. This book, although it's entitled The Queen's Favourite and the word Queen is in it, this book isn't focusing on Elizabeth or necessarily his relationship with Elizabeth. The focus is Robert Dudley, you know, all the way through childhood, through to Lady Jane Grey plot, through to being in the Tower, and then through his marriage and things like that. And it's just, the focus is always Robert Dudley, but of course the Queen is there because he was her favourite. So their story is always going to be entangled together. But yeah, anyway, I'm going to stop waffling on and let's read it together, and hopefully by the end of this reading vlog you will want to go and get your hands on a copy and you'll read it for yourself and be like, oh Lil, that was so good, and I'll be like, yes it is. Anyway, I will start as I always do with reading you the first sentence. To begin with, there are some quotes that I'm not going to read to you because you have to go and read them yourself, but one is the Dudley family motto that I'm not going to read simply because it's in Latin and I cannot read Latin. I will butcher that pronunciation. Another is from Thomas Radcliffe, Earl of Sussex, on his deathbed, and the other is from Sir Philip Sidney. Chapter 1, shall we begin? So chapter 1, 1542. So Elizabeth would have been eight, about to turn 9, right? I can't do math. So 1533 she was born, and we are in 1542. She was born in September, so in September she'll turn 9, but pre that she was 8. Is that right? And then we're not 100% sure on when Robert Dudley was born. We think it's June of either the same year or the year before. So, but yeah. Anyway, first sentence. It's very short. Robert Dudley was bored. That's it. That's the first sentence. I'll come back to you. I feel like I've slid down. First chapter done. It was only a few pages. But Robert Dudley is bored because he's in the schoolroom and academia, not quite his forte in the traditional sense, I guess. You know, we all learn in different ways, and he grabs Elizabeth, Bess, and off they run together. She's bored too because she's already learnt this stuff. She's on to like the next thing, even though she wants to learn, but she's already done it. And off they run to the stables to be with the horses, which is very them. And it was lovely, and yeah, just I forget how immersive it is and how like quickly I get into it and just how wonderful it is. So anyway, now on to chapter 2. 3 years later, I'm just going to sit and enjoy it for a bit. So yeah, wonderful already. Love it. I think the last clip that I filmed was of me sat here. I'm still sat here. But I have actually moved. I've got into comfies, and I've had quite the day actually. It's 'cause it's the evening now. I'm going to go to bed soon because although it's embarrassing, it's almost 7 p.m. That's a weird laugh. Yeah, it's almost 7 p.m, but pregnancy tired is very different. I mean, I go to bed and I don't really sleep, so I kind of sleep, wake up like that. Just can't get comfy. But anyway, I'm waffling. But I've had the proper day of it. So I'm here. I've just very much breezed through this book. I'm on page 143, about to start chapter 19. and I thought I'd tell you where we are. So it's been, as I said, a year since I read it for the first time. Loved it the first time, loving it just as much this time. I forgot how much in the early part of the book Robert Dudley really isn't. He is in it, but he's not like, and he's definitely like the main focus, but there's so many other scenes with other people, but obviously we need that. So we need like the Edward Seymour, and we need John Dudley, Robert Dudley's father, and we need to see all that. We need to see the build-up of like the Lady Jane Grey stuff, and yeah, we need to see it. So, but it's so fast-paced, and it's just bang. But I put the book down here at this point because we are in the Tower. So Robert Dudley, along with his father and his brothers, because there's a lot of Dudleys, they are in the Tower. And, I mean, it's not looking good, is it? It's not going to look good. And I remember when I read it the first time, I felt quite emotional. However, this time round, I'm pregnant and my emotions are everywhere. My hormones are everywhere and I cry at anything. I can just think of something sad now and just burst into tears. So we'll see how I go. That's why I put the book down, because I was like, I don't know if I want to read it. Which is so silly, but obviously I do need to read it. So I need to like keep going to get to other stuff, but yeah, it's just gonna be sad, isn't it? It's just gonna be sad. Flipping heck. Right, let's do this. Let's do it. I'm not gonna read loads because, as I said, I'm tired. It's almost 7 p.m. people. But yeah, I'll get back to you. Wish me luck. Okay, I feel a bit emotional. I got a little bit teary-eyed, and I knew I'd get a little bit teary. The thing is, like, I think it's just the way that it's written. Like, obviously I'm very hormonal and emotional at the moment, but it's just, so what we've just read is the John Dudley's end of life, shall we say. John Dudley recanted his faith, which is completely true. That's what he did do. It didn't work in terms of saving him. Did it have an influence on Mary to save his boys? Well, only Mary can tell us that. But there's something so emotional about that chapter because it was from John Dudley's perspective. And then we go to the boys that are together and they've seen the cart take the body away, and now of course they're feeling all the emotions, and yeah, it's just written so well, but it's made my tummy go over. Yeah, it's really made my tummy go over, so I think I'm gonna read a little bit more, eat some chocolate to make me feel a bit better, and then put something, like watch some YouTube or put something nice on just to like get my mind out of it, because my dreams are vivid and I don't want to dream of that. But yeah, well, I feel emotional. I never feel emotional about John Dudley. You know, I think John Dudley played the game, and he knew exactly the risks because his father ended up in exactly the same situation, literally, and you know, he still played the game and lost. And I don't usually feel for him, but I did the first time that I read it, and I did now. Oh, emotions. So I thought I was done with the emotions. Turns out I'm not, because the next chapter I completely forgot. Of course it is. Guildford to Dudley. And that really pulled, because they're all in together, and when it's like time, and Guildford has to go to meet his maker, and it's just like the brothers are there and they're all just so emotional, they're just like hugging him and just like, I love you, and it's just, and it just got me right in the feels, and it's just how unfair that was. That was unjust, that was unfair, and I will forever and a day think that the ending of the lives of Lady Jane Grey, Jane Dudley, whatever you want to call her, and Guildford, just completely unjust. So, right, now, hopefully, that's the end. Is there any more? Use my brain. Lil, any more? No, I think we're good. We're good. It's fine. I'm fine. I'm fine now. I'll be fine. It is so dark, but it is almost 8 o'clock. It's almost an hour later. I have just got to page 203, and I'm going to leave it there for the evening. So I just wanted to sign off and say goodnight. I am completely loving the book. It is so effortless to read, and Elizabeth is queen. Robert Dudley is the favourite already. And yeah, just loving it. So see you tomorrow for more reading.
He always just looks so majestic. Puppy? Just looks so majestic. However he lies, yes, you just look so majestic, so regal. Beautiful boy.
Hello. Welcome to the next day. Good afternoon. It's not the morning, it's the following day. I've already got comfies on. I've had them on for a few hours actually. It's not the morning because, do you remember yesterday I said that I wanted to do film some videos yesterday, but I just didn't in the end because I just wasn't feeling well enough. I did them today, and then I was really tired, so I stopped and had a rest. But now I've got myself some squash, excuse me, and then I have got my iPad so I can play some classical music. My dad has actually recently, shout out to Dad, hi Dad, my dad watches these videos. My dad started to get into, my dad's the one that got me into classical music in the first place, when reading and to relax and stuff. My dad started listening to classical jazz, and that's really interesting. So, as you know, I think I'm going to stick with the one that I've been listening to recently, which is, it's lovely. It's really kind of like whimsical. And it's like harp and flute, and it's really lovely. I think it's perfect for the tone of the Queen's Favourite. I am loving this reread so much. It's so easy to read. And it's just, yeah, I feel like there's some really good like historical detail in there, but also, I mean, I don't agree with everything because that's not what history is about, but you know, when it, especially, you know, this area of history when we're still filling in so many blanks, but I think there's so much good stuff in terms of recreating people of the past. I think does so well. So I'm going to put on some classical music. I've put classical music to relax, flute. That's what I fancy. I fancy some like really like relaxing flutey music. So I'm going to put that on, and then read for a little bit until I feel too tired, and then I'm going to go for a little nap. So that's my afternoon plan. So I just wanted to share with you a little part of the book that I think is quite touching and something that you don't usually see in historical fiction of this period, and it's about Mary Dudley, Mary Sidney. So Mary Dudley / Sidney was the sister of Robert Dudley. So she was Mary Dudley, then she married, she became Mary Sidney. And as well as being the sister of Robert Dudley and very close with her brother, she was also friend to Elizabeth, and she was one of her ladies in waiting. So she served the Queen for many years. Anyway, Elizabeth contracted smallpox in the early 1560s, and Elizabeth had Mary attending on her while she was ill. Elizabeth came out of the smallpox relatively unscathed. Lots of people, when you contracted smallpox, died, or if you survived, you became quite disfigured. Elizabeth was, I suppose, quite lucky in that regard. She, relatively unscathed. She survived it. Not only did she survive it, but relatively unscarred. However, Mary, who was attending her, Mary Dudley, Mary Sidney, as she was at the time, she was Mary Sidney, she attended Elizabeth. She contracted smallpox as well. However, she sadly, although she survived it, did become scarred from it. And there's lots of myths around Mary Dudley, Mary Sidney, that she left court, that she took to wearing a mask. These are kind of like myths. Obviously they're fueled from something, no smoke without fire. And this book kind of, I suppose, does go along the side of the myths more than the truth that kind of know it. But there is this line that I think is so wonderful, because often Mary Dudley, Mary Sidney isn't mentioned in historical fiction, and it really annoys me that she's not, because she's such an interesting woman. But this line, I want to share it with you. Because this line not only just discusses smallpox in general, but how Mary is feeling from the reaction. Is it not cruel that my husband looks on me with disgust and not desire, and I can't blame him? I think that's so sad. Mary Sidney was such a beautiful woman, and although beauty is just... Oh, can you hear the rain? Although beauty is something that is, in the eye of the beholder, and I think beauty is more than just what you are on the outside. I think it's who you are on the inside. I think it must be really hard to so quickly become so scarred and live a very different life of how people see you and how you see yourself. And I just think that's a line that is put in, because we know that her looks did change, and yeah, very sad, but very glad that Mary is discussed, because she's an important person. Hello. It is now about an hour and a half, 2 hours later. I started reading the book, became completely engrossed, and here we are, an hour and a half, 2 hours later. I don't even know how long I've been reading. But let me tell you, I've had the most wonderful time, but I have forced my hand to put the book down with about 70, 80 pages to go to the end, because I just don't want it to end. I just don't want to finish it. I mean, I could finish it in 2 days. I could probably finish it in 1 day, but I don't want to. I want to enjoy my time. So me and Puppy, who's just walking around the garden, hello pup, he's now in front of me, just enjoying some fresh air. I started to read and started to get a headache. I carried on reading and my headache went, but now it's returned again, so I've come out for some fresh air in my garden, which is lovely. Anyway, where am I in the book? Well, we're right at the tail end of the 1570s. Robert Dudley has married. He's married Lettice, and she is with child. We also had him have a relationship with Douglas Sheffield and have a son, whose name is also Robert Dudley. We have had more dealings with Mary Queen of Scots, which is interesting. We've had Kenilworth Castle, which I love Kenilworth. It's not too far away from me either, which is quite sad actually now, because Kenilworth is ruins again, and it was ruins when Robert took it, and then he made it into this magnificent castle. But yeah, it's now ruins again after he spent an absolute fortune on it. And it's quite interesting actually, because Kenilworth was like his last ditch attempt at trying to persuade Elizabeth to marry him. And of course she said no. We've had that, and yeah, we've had some great stuff that has just absolutely flown by, and I've just had such a wonderful time reading. But now where we are is we are at the point of Elizabeth is thinking of marrying. This is going to be like, she's thinking this is my last attempt to have children. And Robert, of course, is against the match. Of course he is. But yeah, I'm absolutely loving it. But I forced my hand to put it down because I just don't want to end. I can pick it up tomorrow. And yeah, that's where I'll see you tomorrow. So, see you then. Hello. So, I have a spare about 45 minutes. And I'm going to see how much of the Queen's Favourite I can read. I'm on page 329, which is chapter 49 of my edition is 415. So let's see how much I can get done in that time. As always, orange squash. I think like this video is just, it's always orange squash in this video. And of course, in a moment, I have a little puppy. Just had a little snack as doing a little buddy read together, aren't we, pup? Yes. Right, so time to stick on some music and get reading. I have been reading for a little while now and I'm loving it. And although I had something planned to do, I've kind of like knocked that on the head because the time that I had something to do is now. But I'd rather sit and carry on reading. And so I've come into the garden and I'm going to finish The Queen's Favourite because I'm really close to the end now. I am page 387, so I'm getting really close. But I don't want it to end, so I keep moving and doing stuff and putting it off. But it's so good. Anyway, shall we read the last bit together? I think so. Ready? Chapter 58, 1587. Whitehall Palace. First sentence, she has signed it. Can you guess what she signed? Yeah, let's read. So I've just finished the book. As you can see, crying again. I think it's very powerful when a book that you've read before can really still manage to make you cry the second time round. It's beautiful. Obviously I don't want to read you like the ending, although we know the ending, we know history, we know Robert Dudley dies before she does. There's just some beautiful parts of it. Oh, sorry. That I just wanted to show you a little snippet. So this is like Robert Dudley like thinking on his deathbed essentially about Elizabeth. They had been together for more years than some people were married. They had had their arguments, their jealousies and their separate betrayals, yet they had stayed together and loved. What was marriage, if not that? That, you know, that essentially saying that their relationship was almost like a marriage, which it was. Another bit that I want to share with you is when Elizabeth has been told of the death of the Earl, and the letter that he wrote to her, his last letter. And it says, reaching for a quill, she wrote his last letter on the cream page, threw the pen aside and blew the ink to dry it. A simple letter had become a treasure, as precious I can't even speak, as precious to her as the jewels that lay in the casket by her bed. Just beautiful. Anyway, so yeah, crying because it was just beautifully told. You know, there's a lot of books out there that are fictional books on Elizabeth I. Robert Dudley's often mentioned, but this book is Robert Dudley. Elizabeth is in it, and she's, of course, one of the, I suppose, the leading people that we see, but the book isn't her focus. The focus is always Robert Dudley. And it's just, this is how I see him. I don't see him as scheming and conniving and disloyal. I see him as incredibly loyal to the crown, and their relationship is everything. You know, friends and lovers and flirtations and love and jealousy and difficulties that they ensue. But, you know, this was decades since they were children, and it just continued, and it was just so beautifully told in The Queen's Favourite that I honestly, I cannot recommend this book enough. So yes, that is my reading vlog of The Queen's Favourite by Laura Dowers, first book in the Tudor Court series. And you might be thinking, it's over now. No, because look what I've done. I've bought the second one. This is the second book in the Tudor Court series. This is The Queen's Rebel by Laura Dowers. So this is going to be on a similar theme, actually, because Queen's Rebel is Robert Devereux. Robert Devereux, the Earl of Essex, is the stepson of Robert Dudley. So it all comes back round. So you can join me for another video, another reading vlog. I haven't read this one before. I didn't think I would ever really get this one, to be honest. I don't know why I didn't think I would. But this is just so good, and this has such a special place in my heart to read actual Robert Dudley. But yes, so there we go. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think of this reading vlog and the fact that I have been in tears. And I can't blame the crying at the end on pregnancy either, because the first time round I cried too. So there we go. Anyway, thank you for watching. Take care, and I shall see you soon for the next video. Bye.